the weekend as well. It's just all of a sudden like Easter's here. Time for some autumn.
Yeah, it's quite crazy.
Yeah.
And every trees are like red, yellow, and we are live. Red, yellow, and live. Hey guys, how are you doing? We're sorry for being 2 minutes late. YouTube have been a bit of a pain this morning, and basically we had the loading button for hours.
Yeah.
Anyway, welcome to another one of our live session. We are stoked that you guys are with us. We are going to be spending the morning, not the morning, we're going to be spending a good hour with you guys, answering all your questions about traveling in New Zealand. Laura, get us started.
Yeah, so if you guys are wondering who the hell we are, this is Robin and I'm Laura, and together with the team behind BackpackerGuide.NZ, which is basically your online Bible for traveling in New Zealand. So along with that, we also do this Q&A session every single Sunday to help you guys plan your trip around New Zealand. You can come along, ask us a question in the live chats, or you can send us questions throughout the week on our various different social media channels, so we can add them to our pool of questions also to answer during this live Q&A session. So just as a recap of where you can actually give us some questions, you can send us questions on Facebook in a private message on BackpackerGuide.NZ. It's our Facebook page. You can also send us a private message on Instagram, which is at BackpackerGuide.NZ, or you can mention us on Twitter, where our Twitter handle is at BPK Guide. Also, if you're looking at any of our videos on YouTube, just send us a question in the comments and we'll add those to our pool of questions for this live Q&A as well. But just as a recap also of what times we are available for this live Q&A. So this live Q&A happens every single Sunday at 8 a.m. New Zealand time. So elsewhere in the world, that is in the US, 4 p.m. EST on a Saturday, or 12 p.m. PST, also on a Saturday. In the UK and France, in Europe, so that is 9 p.m. on a Saturday in the UK, or in France, that is, well, 22 hours, as you would say in France, or in a Frenchy sort of way.
22 heures.
Yes. And in India, that is 1:30 a.m. on a Sunday morning.
All right, Laura's drunk apparently this morning.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. So thank you very much for joining us. Again, you guys can pop any of your questions in our live chat and we'll help you plan your trip in New Zealand. You're gonna have a blast here. It is absolutely gorgeous at the moment. We are right in the middle of the beginning of autumn. So all the trees are changing colors. It's absolutely fantastic. But enough about our lives. Who cares? Let's talk about you guys. You have sent us really a lot of questions, so we're gonna get started. I'm going to get started with Yessi Khan, which on YouTube said, "Hi, I'm visiting New Zealand in 2 weeks in June. Is it going to be rainy? In short, what is the weather like in New Zealand in June?" All right, let's get started. So as you know, we have a beautiful map where we can write stuff on it, and that's how we do the weather. Now, June is a pretty cool. Cool month. Is it the beginning of winter? It's the first month of winter.
So
right?
June is the first month of winter in New Zealand. So obviously you can expect it to get a little bit colder at this time of the year, but it's not in the dead of winter yet. It's not usually going to be too snowy at the beginning of June, but there might be some snow in the sort of higher alpine regions throughout New Zealand. So you might need to be aware of that. But where there isn't snow, it's more likely to be a little bit rainy. So as that question was asking, is it going to be rainy in June? It's likely that there will be some rain in June, yes.
Yes, it will be rainy, but how rainy is it going to be? Let's go through the whole map and let's do our classic New Zealand weather of June. So in the month of June, let's talk about the typical temperatures. So how cold does it get in June in New Zealand? All right, so on the northern New Zealand, which is Northland, Auckland, and Tauranga, the temperature averaged between 12 degrees Celsius and 53 degrees Fahrenheit. On central Northland, which is Hamilton, Taupo, and Rotorua, there is around 8 degrees Celsius, which is 46 degrees Fahrenheit. What's the difference between Celsius and Fahrenheit? Always just confuses me. Yeah. All right, for the southwest Northland, we have New Plymouth, Palmerston North, and Wellington. That's around 9 degrees Celsius, which is 48 Fahrenheit. On the eastern Northland, which is Gisborne, Napier, and Wairarapa, it is 10 degrees Celsius, which is 50 Fahrenheit. On the northern South Island, so we're hitting the South Island now. That's Blenheim and Nelson. That's 8 degrees Celsius, which is 46 Fahrenheit. Then we're having the west coast of New Zealand. That's Westport, Hokitika, and Milford Sounds. On there, we're going to be having 6 to 7 degrees Celsius, which is 43 to 45 degrees Fahrenheit. On the eastern South Island, which is Kaikoura, Christchurch, and Timaru, we're going to have 7 degrees Celsius, which is around 45 degrees Fahrenheit. Also, on the inland South Island, we have Lake Tekapo, Queenstown, and Alexandra. That's 2 to 4 degrees Celsius, which is 36 to 39 degrees Fahrenheit. And on southern New Zealand, which is all the way down the bottom where you can find Dunedin and Invercargill, it is 7 degrees Celsius, which is 45 Fahrenheit. So that's your average temperatures right here in June in New Zealand. And as you can tell, there's a massive difference between the North and the South Island. But it's not as massive as you will experience with the rainfalls. The rainfall in New Zealand in June are all over the place. And yes, it does rain a lot in New Zealand in June, so you need to pack your rain jackets. All right, so let's go through the rainfalls right here. I'm going to give you millimeters. So if you're from the US, I am sorry, you'll have to convert that in inches. Or just learn the metric system. Whichever is easier. Whichever is easier. I'm sorry. All right. Anyway, northern New Zealand, that's 150 millimeters of rain. Central North Island, it will be 80 millimeters of rain. The southwest North Island is going to be 140 millimeters of rain. The eastern North Island will be about 100 millimeters of rain. The northern South Island is very dry, the driest place in the country, actually one of the driest places in the country, with 60 millimeters of rain. The west coast, sorry about that. The west coast is between 240 and 450 millimeters of rain. So definitely the wettest place in New Zealand. It is the wettest place in New Zealand all year round, to be quite honest. But it is an amazing place because all this rain. It gets so lush and beautiful.
Yeah, the forests there are amazing.
Yeah, they are. Now in Kaikoura and the rest of this area right here with Christchurch, it's about 70 millimeters of rain. Inland is going to be 30 to 60 millimeters of rain, and the southern New Zealand will get 80 millimeters of rain in June. So that's kind of like the average kind of weather that you can experience right here in New Zealand. But if you do plan to travel in June in New Zealand, you may want to pack a few things that are absolutely mandatory. The first thing is the beanie. It is raining a lot and getting a little bit cold, but most importantly, there is a lot of wind in New Zealand in June, and for that reason, it's going to get really chilly really fast. So even if you think that, I can handle 6-7 degrees, it will feel much colder because there is wind. So, sometimes they do that in the weather forecast. They say, like, it's going to be 7 degrees, but it's going to feel like 0. Yeah. Well, that's basically what it's going to be a lot. So beanie and scarf for sure, merino wool layers. Laura, what is the main thing to pack when you travel New Zealand in June?
Well, at any time of the year, Robin, you need to pack a rain jacket. Yeah. And especially in June as well, because it's, as you saw from all the rainfall on that chart that Robin just went through, then it does get a bit rainy, especially on the west coast and a few other areas around New Zealand. So it is good to pack a rain jacket and some waterproof hiking shoes if you do plan to do a bit of hiking. And it's best to do hiking really, like whatever the weather, as long as it's not like too in a dangerous place in the alpine regions and things. But it is definitely worth getting out there, and just as long as you're well prepared with a rain jacket
and waterproof shoes,
and got your waterproof shoes on, then you'll have a good time.
Yeah. All right. So that's our take for the weather in New Zealand in June. We will link, obviously, in the description below to the article on Backpacker Guide, which is the New Zealand weather in June. That will give you so much more information, as well as our favorite places to visit in New Zealand in June. So you definitely don't want to miss this article. It's in the comment below. If you find this video useful, click like, click subscribe. We're here every single week. All right. Let's go to the live chat. We have Yu Yan Lim, which is joining us. Welcome. Which island is best for fishing? I think you can fish all around New Zealand, but it looks like you are especially into power and crayfish. So I think you want to go to the South Islands. and especially on the east coast of the South Island,
Yeah.
where you have Timaru, for example, would be a great place. Kaikoura will be a great place as well.
Akaroa as well, I think is
Akaroa.
good, but there is a big marine reserve around
Yeah.
Akaroa. So when you are looking for places to fish, make sure that you stick to the fishing regulations, which there is quite a lot of in New Zealand, just to help obviously keep sustainable amount of fish in the oceans. So just make sure that you stick to the restrictions. Have a look at where the marine reserves are, and obviously avoid those places for when you're fishing.
All right, we also have Rahul, which asks us if you can come on a tourist visa to get some interviews there, and then when he's selected, he can convert his tourist visa into a work visa. So Rahul, as far as we know, you are not allowed to do that. If you come to New Zealand on a tourist visa, you are coming to holiday. You are not able to be looking for a job. But for any of your visa and immigration related question, you want to contact Immigration New Zealand directly, because we are not allowed to give you any advice on that subject. So just type this very question in an email to Immigration New Zealand. There are plenty of contact details and contact form on their website, and they'll get back to you in no time at all. And then we have Hassan that joins us. And Hassan, literally, you are next on the list. So you arrive right on time. Look at that. You're just right there. So we will be answering your question right now. And Yuyan say thank you. So you are very much welcome, Yuyan. When are you planning to visit New Zealand? Tell us a little bit what you're planning to do in New Zealand when you're coming to visit. We always like to know that.
Yeah.
All right. In the meantime, we're going to go through Hassan's question. All right. So we had Hassan on Facebook that says, "Hi, I'm following your videos and website. I'm planning to do a South Island campervan trip with my family in October, starting and ending in Christchurch. I'm just wondering if it's more scenic to do the South Island anti-clockwise or clockwise. I guess it's better to see better views in the front rather than behind you." And that's a question that we do get actually quite often. What's the best route to make your way around New Zealand? And there is quite a few criteria to take in consideration. So Hassan right here in his question say that he want to prioritize kind of views, which is a really good thing to prioritize as well. But we think that it's also very important to prioritize traffic. To think about the traffic flow as well around New Zealand, because you're probably going to be driving quite a lot around the country, and also prioritize your activities in order to have a few backup plans. So we're not going to be talking just about the South Island right here, because we want to help everyone. So we're going to be talking about both the North and the South Island. But let's get started with the South Island. Laura, do you want to get us a map just to give you a bit of an idea? All right. So when you travel around the South Island, most people will start either in Queenstown or in Christchurch right here. And what we actually have found the best way to travel around New Zealand is to travel that way. It is actually clockwise, right? This one is clockwise, right?
That is
yeah, I think it's clockwise.
Anti-clockwise.
Anti-clockwise. Well, this one here. Can you do a big arrow right here? So you guys can see just this way around. All right. So the reason why we think this is the best way right here for traveling around the South Island, no matter if you're actually going all the way up here or if you're cutting short and going through Arthur Pass, for example, which a lot of people are doing, the reason why we find this one being the best way is first up is the traffic flow, right? Most of the traffic around the South Island actually goes that way. Now, a lot of the roads on the South Island are quite small and narrow. I mean, you've seen a lot of our videos traveling around the South Island. We did travel a lot with a really big campervan, and it is quite small. So you obviously are going to be better off following traffic. So I don't really have any data, to actually tell you like this is how much traffic goes one way and the other way. But we really feel like at least 2/3 of the traffic is kind of going that way rather than the other way around. So you have less crossover, and the traffic goes better if you go alongside it.
Yeah, I was just going to say, like all the bus tours we know in New Zealand always take this route around New Zealand as well. They never go opposite the traffic. So, if they're doing it as well, and if you were to travel opposite, then imagine if you are on the opposite side of the road against all those buses blocking your view the whole time.
Yeah, so, if you do drive a whole day, you may be literally crossing like 50 buses on very narrow roads. So every time it's a bit of a stress, it's kind of like a crossing on the side. Well, you're much better off be behind them and just, kind of follow and go along the way. So that is kind of the first point of why we do like traveling in that way. Now, another thing is having enough backup plans. So one of the prime activity to do on the South Island is to go on the glacier. It's an absolutely amazing activity. We have videos of every single one of the glaciers that you can go commercially on in this channel right here. So you can check us like going and do those things everywhere. It's really awesome. But those 3 glaciers are, if you want to do some dot Laura, we have Franz Joseph Glacier, Fox Glacier. So this one is Franz Joseph, this one is Fox Glacier, and we have the Tasman glaciers as well. So when you do it that way, the first glacier that you hit is Franz Joseph Glacier. Now, Franz Joseph Glacier is the glacier which is the most popular, so very often full booked. And it's also the glacier that has the least amount of flight time because of weather conditions. So the weather is so changeable that helicopter tours are very often cancelled. So if you hit that glacier and you had booked it, or if you were planning on just walking in and being able to do the tour on that day, you will be much better off doing this one first, because if the weather is not good, you always have a chance to go to Fox Glacier and then do it. Fox Glacier is the second most popular glacier. The second, the one which is in the middle in amount of time where you can go on to. So let's say that you were really out of luck. Franz Joseph Glacier, you couldn't do your tour. Fox Glacier, you can do your tour. Well, while doing your loop, you're still going to be hitting the Tasman Glacier, and you're still going to have a shot to do it as well. So that gives you 3 shots to do one of those really amazing activities. So I personally feel that for those 2 reasons alone, it will be the best way to do it. Now, view and scenery wise, honestly, you're gonna have beautiful sceneries and you're gonna have views both ways are going to be looking absolutely fantastic for sure, because you're going to be going toward the Southern Alps twice. So it's going to look really fantastic. So for the South Island, the views are going to be quite similar. So I don't think that view is very much a factor. You're still going to have a blast either or. So that's our take for the South Island. Now for the North Islands, and we have a much simpler explanation because it's basically about exactly the same thing that we just said right here. For the South Island, for the North Island. Do you want to do our little arrows?
So it's, I was just going to say, it's actually a little bit opposite, because you're going down more the East Coast that way, like from north to south.
I was about to say the reasoning is there. So for the North Island, you're better off there. So Laura is right. You go the other way around. For the North Island, and you're going to be hitting, for example, like Rotorua, and then Taupo, Tongariro, and Wellington, and then you go back up that way, where you can go to Taranaki, to Waitomo, and then back to Auckland. So this is where Auckland is. This is where Wellington is. Now, one of the reasons why we actually think this is the best way is because the drive down toward, especially the Tongariro area, is absolutely fantastic going north to south. The mountain looks absolutely gorgeous. However, going from north to south, the views is mostly blocked. So for this reason, you're going to be having a little bit less good overviews. So if we were to choose a direction, we will go then clockwise on the North Island, anti-clockwise on the South Island, and we think that would be the best way to do that. Yeah. Anything to add, Laura?
I think that's pretty much everything covered.
Yeah. All right, Hassan. I hope that this answered your question. I hope that you are pretty
satisfied.
Pretty much set up. If you do have any extra questions, make sure to put them in the comment below. And if you guys have your own question, comment below, like and subscribe. All right, I'm going to say hi to live chat. I'm just going to be hiding and blocking some people which are saying some pretty weird as stuff. Okay, here you go. All right, let's say hi to everybody. So we have Brice Dram that says, where are our Easter eggs?
Where's my Easter egg, Robin?
Yeah, okay.
Where is it? I mean, I've been waiting like all morning now and still haven't had my Easter egg.
So the truth behind that, we actually wanted to have some little Easter eggs with this live video, but we thought that munching ourselves and having some noise of us eating wouldn't be so nice. So,
it's never fun to watch other people eat.
Yeah. But if you want to try some really awesome chocolate in New Zealand, Whittaker's is the brand that we go for. They're really awesome. Brice, you asking that. And if you do want to try some really high-end luxury, amazing stuff, I'm talking about Makana.
Makana, yeah.
Makana have 2 factories, one in on the Northland region near Pahia,
Kerikeri.
So near Pahia and Kerikeri, and one in the South Island in Blenheim.
Yes.
So really awesome chocolate. Yuyan Lim says, planning to visit the South Island for a month in campervan. Is it too long? No, it's not long enough. You are going to want to stay longer.
Yeah, there's plenty to see in a month.
For sure. Rahul will say, thanks, Ali Meli Immigration New Zealand here. But don't you think it's kind of impossible to find a job sitting here in India? Coming there and giving interview would be much easier. Honestly, most of the job search at the moment is done online, so I don't think it's impossible at all.
And usually people do get the work visa, like try and get a work visa, obviously before coming to New Zealand. But also remember that employers don't really want to take the chance of giving someone a job who doesn't already have a work visa. So yeah, they are less likely to give you a job if you don't have the appropriate visa.
All right. I'm just going to be, can you read the comment from, sorry, I'm just going to have to.
There's just a bit of crazy stuff happening on the live chat right now.
How do you block people? You can't block any more people. Up, here you go. Anyway.
So where is the, just having a look at another question, where is the sunniest beach I can shoot up? Well, there's a lot of amazing sunny beaches around New Zealand. There's about 15,000 kilometers of coastline in New Zealand, so you won't find it too stressful trying to find a beach. But yeah, you can capture some amazing sunset pictures on the west coast of New Zealand, particularly the beaches along Hokitika, for instance. Basically, that whole west coast region, the South Island, has some pretty nice sunny beaches, especially in the afternoons. And then to get some really awesome sunrise pictures, head onto the east coast, and particularly around Gisborne. Actually, there's a lot of which is on the East Cape of the North Island, that has lots and lots of really nice, beautiful white sand beaches, and you can get some really cool shots up there as well.
I don't think that was the question, but that was funny. Thanks for answering that. We had Camila that says she has the same kiwi bird that we have, which is quite cool. Quite nice. All right. Okay, so I got rid of everybody that was spammy. I'm sorry about those idiots making jokes about terrorism and everything. They are absolute moron. Anyway, good morning, Grant. I've deleted everybody. I'm sorry about that. Arthur 1, we are going to be answering your question next. And I just want to see, Camila was saying that she has the same kiwi bird.
Oh, yeah.
Camila, tell me, is your kiwi bird the one you can press and it makes some noise in? Because ours does. It annoys Laura a lot because I do it all the time. Just saying. All right, cool. So we are going to go through Arthur's question. How can I change the battery? Camila, actually, that is one of the weirdest travel questions I've ever heard.
Can you change the battery?
In our fluffy kiwi bird. So Camila is asking, on our fluffy kiwi bird over there, can we change the battery? I have no idea, but I think I will have to.
If we get a pair of scissors and we actually massacre that kiwi bird, we might be able to.
I think my biggest issue with this kiwi bird over there is that the place that I will have to cut to make the hole to will not be appropriate. So I think I will just keep it as a fluffy toy if the battery run out. But to be fair, we have had this kiwi bird for so long and the battery is not run out. So yeah.
Unfortunately.
All right, cool. Arthur is asking a question. Can you go through that? I'm just going to get rid of some more spammers.
All right, so Arthur on YouTube asks, hi guys, thank you so much for providing so much useful information in your website and on YouTube. It was really overwhelming to plan a trip to New Zealand without your help. If you don't mind, I would like to ask a question. Between spring and autumn, which season will allow us to see more animals and flowers with good weather?
All right. So obviously, this is a question that we get quite often. Laura, do you want to get us started? Why people are usually targeting spring and autumn in New Zealand?
Yeah. So one of the main reasons is because this is actually what the shoulder seasons in New Zealand, meaning that it's a little less busy with tourists. Obviously, people coming to New Zealand want to be here mainly in summer when it's like the hottest, warmest weather possible. But yeah, in the spring and autumn, it's actually a really good time to travel in New Zealand so that you're not, not surrounded by tourists all the times. But also, as Arthur asked as well, it is also a really good time for seeing wildlife in New Zealand as well.
Yeah. So spring and autumn both offer amazing fauna, flora, landscape, and it's kind of hard to decide which one is best. So what we decide to do for you, Arthur, is that we basically wrote like what we like the most in like spring and autumn, then, and what are basically the selling point for spring and autumn. And it's going to be up to you to decide which one, like, you know, which sales pitch is the best for you. So I think it's going to be the best way to do it. So I'm going to start talking about spring, and then Laura will talk to you about autumn. And then basically you're going to have to decide between me or Laura. You see, you're going to pick me, right? Anyway, let's get started. So for spring is September, November, and December in New Zealand. Now, one of the number one thing to do in spring is to head to Lake Tekapo, where you see those lupin flowers. They are those like purple flowers, which are kind of triangular shape, and you can take all those pictures. If you don't know what they are, just go on Instagram.
It's probably the number one picture of New Zealand on Instagram.
Yeah. So absolutely crazy. So around Lake Tekapo. So there are great vegetation, to be quite honest, all around, all year round in New Zealand. But if you head to Rotorua in springs, you will find that all the bush and all those you know, nature bush and everything are really lush, and they're really kind of like spring into life. Well, because it's spring. So yes, that's pretty cool. If you're really into flowers, since you've been mentioning that quite a lot, you can head to the Hamilton Gardens. We do have an episode about the Hamilton Garden that you can check on this channel. So really nice videos there. And the garden is obviously completely changing in spring, and everything is blossoming and in bloom, and it's absolutely fantastic. Another great place to visit in spring, because you mentioned that you wanted to see some wildlife as well, is Kaikoura. So spring is obviously a great season for animals. So there is heaps of wildlife. But on top of that, there is something called Sea Fest in Kaikoura, which is happening in October, where everybody dressed up as fishes. There are musics and costumes and all of that around. So it's quite cool to do that in spring. And finally, if you are into whitewater rafting, I know you didn't mention that whatsoever in your question, but you should be, because we love that. In spring is when all the snow melts, and then it just rushes down the river. That's when you have the biggest rapids and the biggest whitewater rafting to do. And therefore, we suggest you to head toward Rangitata, which is on the southern end. So it's Rangitata for some of the best whitewater rafting all year round, all around New Zealand. Head down there, it's pretty epic. So that would be my sales pitch for you to choose spring. Laura is going to give you her sales pitch for autumn.
So autumn in New Zealand is between the months of March and May. And so really, obviously, if you want to see some different sort of, you know, landscape in autumn, you're going to see some more autumn colours in areas like Wanaka. But bear in mind that a lot of the native vegetation in New Zealand is actually green all year round. So that sort of autumny colours is only where they've got some sort of plantations of more exotic trees, like in Wanaka. So Wanaka is a really cool place to go if you want to see some of those autumn colours. Also, autumn is the winemaking season in New Zealand, and New Zealand does have plenty of wine regions, including Hawke's Bay. And Hawke's Bay actually does have that sort of landscape which changes colour over autumn as well. So you could combine those two things. And yeah, around the Canterbury region as well, there's a lot of activity from birds. Obviously, yeah, in autumn when they're feeding on seeds and stuff like that, that usually happens on in autumn. Another really cool place to go for that change of colour and scenery is in Gisborne in the Eastwood Arboretum. And this is basically a huge collection of international trees. Yeah, I think it's like the largest collection of exotic trees in the Southern Hemisphere, or some sort of title like that. And that's a really awesome place to go and check out the different, as well, especially birds as well. There's a lot of bird wildlife there, and really awesome changing colourful trees. And let's end with Marlborough, again another winemaking region in New Zealand. So you could go and try some of the freshest wine that they've just made, or however that is done.
But like autumn is the time of the year when you make wine. Anyway,
exactly. So, yeah. So I mean, if you're a backpacker and you're looking for some, looking for some work, it's usually a good time to go and hit the wine regions for work. But otherwise, there's a lot of.
You can watch them do it. When the winery tours during autumn, they're actually even more interesting, because you see like everything in action rather than just an empty field. So it's quite cool. Yeah, it's really fun.
And also, it's a good time to go and do some really popular hikes, like in Marlborough, the Queen Charlotte track. It's like the best time of the year is to go during autumn, because the crowds have died down a little bit. And yeah, it's just a good time to have it like that whole scenery to yourself as you're like one of the limited people doing the track.
Yeah. Now, weather-wise, the weather is extremely changeable all year round in New Zealand, so both weathers are going to be extremely similar. Let's be honest. You can definitely check on our website every single month and our weather kind of updates for each of them. But yeah, very, very similar. So so that's our take on both. So now, Arthur, you're going to have to tell us which one you think is the best. Is it spring or is it autumn? And if your name is not Arthur, you can still pitch in. Is your favorite time to travel New Zealand spring or autumn? Let us know in the comment below. And if you do have some questions of your own, do it as well in the comment below. We're here to help every single week. All right. Arthur, I know you had another question, and we'll go through it a little bit later. We're just going to answer the question that we have on the live chat right now. I just want to say hi to Grant. Thank you for joining us from New Zealand. That's a little bit early. You should stay in, but it's Easter weekend after all. Yuyan is asking, oh God, don't make me say that name. Wender Chrysson Campervan. Okay, so that Wender Chrysson Campervan are actually quite a popular campervan company in New Zealand. We just hate saying the name. It is a pretty good campervan rental companies. If you actually go on BackpackerGuide.NZ, we actually list all our favorites kind of campervan rental companies. So you go on BackpackerGuide.NZ and you're going to be clicking on travel tips, then transportation, and then car and campervan rentals. So travel tips, transportation, and then on here you have car and campervan rental, and this is where you want to head. But yeah, Yuyan, it's a cool one. Camila, I think. Oh, Frank Rosas say hi. What are the best banks for international students? We actually have a video about all the different banks and everything. But in short, we will suggest you to go for the Cooperative Bank or Kiwi Bank. That's the two one that we will suggest for you to go for. Okay, Ray Lewis, what about we do that before we go back to Arthur's question?
Yep.
Arthur, by the way, we want to know if you choose spring or autumn. You need to put it in the comments.
Yeah.
All right, Ray Lewis say, I have a question. I heard that in order to get an ID card or open a bank, I think a bank account, you have to have an address. But what if camping or bouncing around from hostel? How would that work? All right, Ray, so you can get a proof of address from your hostel if you stay, I think it's 3 or 4 days. So when you arrive in New Zealand, anyway, you're going to need a little bit of time to settle everything, to do the bank account, to find your phone, to find all that. So you're probably going to give yourself about a week in the hostel. At that point, from the hostel, you can get a proof of address from there, and that will allow you to be able to open your bank account and get your ID card. So that's basically how that works. That's one of the first things you want to do when arriving in New Zealand. And we do have a guide on Backpacker Guide about that.
Yeah, so we actually have several advice articles. Basically, if you just search how to open a bank account in New Zealand on BackpackerGuide.NZ, you will find all the information you need. And that gives you some ideas of what sort of proof of address you can use and how to go about sorting all that sort of logistics of it all.
So we literally have step by step, this is what you do, this is what you do, this is what you do. So that's going to make your life very, very easy, right? Just follow those articles. So again, it's on BackpackerGuide.NZ, and then in the search bar, just type bank account.
Yeah, just type bank.
And you'll find those things.
Yeah.
All right, should we do Arthur's second question? Arthur one. All right. So Arthur says, hi, guys. Thank you so much for providing so much useful information on your website and YouTube. It was very overwhelming to plan a trip in New Zealand without your help. Oh. We are planning to rent a non-self-contained sleeper van. Is it legal for us to stop somewhere along the road with beautiful scenery, etc., during the day and have picnic and cook lunch, or must we only day camp in holiday park or dock sites? All right, so that's a very good question, Arthur.
Yeah.
A lot of people actually are getting a little confused about having a non-self-contained camper van and what they can do and what they can't do. So the first thing I want to explain quickly is what is the difference between a self-contained camper van and what is not. Now, a self-contained camper van is a camper van that is basically completely self-contained, where you have all your grey water and all of that. And in short, for you guys, you don't have to know all the legal description. It has a blue stickers that says self-contained camper van on it. If it has a self-contained camper van, then you are able to use all the freedom camp areas in New Zealand, meaning that you can park in selected areas, still selected areas, not everywhere, but in most of the freedom camp areas and everything, you can park there, spend the night, and very often it's going to be free. Now, if you have a non-self-contained camper van, it means that you have basically a sleeper van, a car with a mattress on the back, basically, or a camper van that doesn't have all the facilities like toilets and all of that. And that means that you can sleep in your car just as a person. You have the ability to do that. However, legally, you do not have the right to stay in any of the freedom areas and freedom campsites and all of that, because you're not self-contained, and therefore you will produce waste and damage the beautiful New Zealand environment. So that's the difference. The self-contained campervan has the blue sticker. The non-self-contained campervan doesn't have these blue stickers. Now, the short answer to your question is, can you do that?
Yeah, so you could, so basically in the daytime, you can park up anywhere. You can park up in rest stops and, have a picnic on any sort of, obviously in a safe place on the side of the road. If there's a lot of picnic stops along the main highways in New Zealand. So if you see some beautiful scenery and there's a parking area there, you can park up there. You can make lunch, you can do all of that sort of things, and you will not be hassled whatsoever. It's just like driving around in your car normally, and you would stop for lunch, just as it's a normal thing to do. It's only at night where you're more likely to get into trouble.
Yeah. So now, if you were to park at night, right, which does happen, and let's say like you're in Queenstown, for example, they really hate camper vans in Queenstown. They do not like backpackers over there, and you park your sleeper van somewhere, because you stay in a hostel, for example, make sure that you leave the curtains open, because otherwise they will give you a fine by thinking that you're sleeping in. So you need to be able to see that no one is sleeping in there when you're parking the camper van. So keep that in mind. It's very, very important. So freedom camping basically means freedom camping basically means at night and when you're sleeping in there. You also one thing though, you do not have the right to set up a tent during the day if you're not self-contained place. But obviously you wouldn't park up, just set up a tent to do lunch. So that would be the thing. But I just want you to know that. Now, a lot of people are going to watch this video and be like, why would I get a self-contained, a non-self-contained camper van? Why would I get a sleeper van? There's not much advantage to it. But we actually do think that sleeper van are, in many cases, actually better than camper van. And we'll give you a few reasons why we think you should still consider a non-self-contained camper van. And the first thing that comes in mind to me is that they are so much easier to drive. They're usually much smaller. They're usually basically a car with a mattress on the back, and they're so much easier to drive. Another reason? Another reason, with a self-contained camper van, you always have to return to a paid accommodation like a holiday park or a campsite around every 3 days to top up all your water and to empty your waste and everything like that anyway. So even if you do get a self-contained camper van and do some freedom camping, you're going to always have to go back to holiday parks and actually pay for some accommodation eventually. So, From what we talk with people and from our experiences as well, you spend at least a third of your time in paid accommodation or paid camping site, even when you have a self-contained camper van anyway. So it's you're only saving about a third. The other thing that comes to mind for me about kind of this choosing a sleeper van, so something which is non-self-contained, is that honestly, you can take one of the best RV in the world. No, not the best RV in the world. Some of the really expensive RV, like beautiful camper van and everything. You still have much room. It's going to be still better to shower and to cook in the facilities of a nice holiday park rather than doing it in your cram a camper van with, like everything getting smelly and everything like that. So honestly, you will have a better time using the facilities if you're in a holiday park anywhere and you're on holiday. So you can save so much money, and I think that's going to be Laura's next point. You can save so much money on the size of the camper van that you get by getting just a non-self-contained one that you compensate so perfectly, and you can stay in like really nice holiday parks. Next one. So actually, saying about saving money, there's actually quite a lot of ways you can save money with non-self-contained vehicles. Really, if you're renting a non-self-contained vehicle, it's going to be cheaper than renting a self-contained vehicle. They're smaller vehicles, and the rental prices of them are just simply cheaper. So you do save money there, but you also save money because although freedom camping is quite appealing, thinking like, I don't have to pay accommodation for the night, the campsites around New Zealand, and especially the Department of Conservation campsites, are usually pretty cheap. So you can pay as little as like $5 for a campsite for the night, which really is
Not really.
Nothing.
Yeah. If you weigh that up for the amount of money that you would have spent renting a self-contained vehicle for the night, it's going to probably work out being cheaper to get.
You have some sleeper car, which is going to be like $40 a day, when the Campervan is going to be at least 120 or 160. So the difference is there. Like, I mean, it's crazy.
Exactly. Yeah.
And the other thing for saving money that you forgot to mention is the gas. I mean, just
of course.
running a small car compared to a big Campervan is going to save you heaps on gas. Like, we're talking hundreds and hundreds of dollars.
Yeah.
So yes, that's pretty important. The last thing I want to mention is your age. When you rent a big RV, usually there is a bit of a tighter age restriction. So young drivers usually are more pushed towards smaller vehicle. So if you are young, if you're like 18, 19, 20, you usually going to have a much easier time to find yourself a non-self-contained campervan to rent.
Yeah.
So for us, as you can see, guys, as non-self-contained campervan, we are kind of fond of them.
Yeah.
We think they're pretty cool. All right, so we hope that this answered your entire question, Arthur. If you guys have any questions about freedom camping in New Zealand, about camping in New Zealand, about traveling in New Zealand, anything about New Zealand, put them in the comment below and we'll pick it up during our next live session. Obviously, if you also find this video useful, make sure to click like and subscribe. We are here to help. Around the live chat, Frank's Rosa says thank you. Ray says thanks, guys. Everybody's nice. And Arthur say that we gave too good of sales speech, so he doesn't know how to decide. He's giving the girlfriend to decide. He's like, yeah, you decide now. Look, watch this video, lady, and you decide.
Yeah.
All right. Before we go to the next question that we have, which involves a very long answer, I just want to take a minute to point a couple of things. First up, this week we are going to be releasing a new type of video when we dive much deeper into some of the most popular questions that you guys are asking us. So keep an eye up for that. It's going to be coming up maybe Monday, Tuesday, something like that. One of those days. And we'd love to hear your feedback and to hear if you do like it or not. So when you see this video coming up, because it's the first of kind of a new style of video, we'd love for you guys to go in the comment and tell us if you do find it useful or not. The second thing I want to say is that yesterday I told you guys that we are going to be organizing a bit of a meetup.
Yeah.
And yes, we do. Now, one of the funny things is that I usually have my phone with me when I do that, but I left it all the way over there and I don't want to stand up for no reason. So I'm going to try to do that from memory. We are going to be meeting at the Bluestone Room, which is the oldest commercial building in Auckland. It's a really cool pub. It's a little bit hidden, but definitely a pub that we want you guys to actually just go and check out.
Yeah.
So the Bluestone Room definitely worth checking out. And we're going to be meeting there on the 7th of May at 7 p.m. There is an event I created on our Facebook groups, which are the backpacking Facebook groups, as well as on our Facebook page. So if you guys are keen on joining us for just a nice pint of beer, make sure to hit us up on the 7th of May at 7 p.m. at the Bluestone Room in Auckland. So go on the event, say like, yeah, you're going to come, or yeah, you're interested, or whatever you can do on Facebook. Let us know how big of a table we need to book. I think we have about like 20 people right now, which are interested. So yeah, that'd be quite cool to see you guys in person and just to share a nice cold beer with you all. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Now let's go back to questions. Come on, enough about life.
That's what this is all about.
Yeah,
let's get back to the questions.
We've been talking about yeah. Do you want to read the question?
Yes, I will. Okay, so on Instagram, Thinking Ahead asked, hello, my name is Matthew, and I first want to say that I love your YouTube channel. I am planning a quick 5-day trip to Auckland in New Zealand between May the 29th and June 2nd. And I noticed that since I'm from the United States of America and I have a waived visa option, do you know if I need any documentation saying that I don't need a visa because of my short stay?
The world famous waiver visa question.
Yeah.
All right, let's get started with that. So one of the things that you need to know about the visa waiver is that it is okay to be confused. Everybody asks us about it. Yeah. It's quite funny. Anyway, so in short, no, you do not need to do any paperwork or anything like that. It's a very simple process, and we'll cover all of that right now just to make sure that you get all the information you need. But if you do, if you come from one of the visa waiver country, which is on the list of immigration, on the list on the website Immigration New Zealand, but we'll go through that right now. If you're from a visa waiver country, you can come to holiday in New Zealand without visa, meaning no visa application, no paperwork, just show up with your passport.
Yes.
All right, so let's get started with which are the countries which have a visa waiver scheme with New Zealand, meaning the country that do not need a visa to come visit New Zealand.
Yeah, so we'll do it in alphabetical order.
Ooh, that starts well. There's like
yeah.
country. All right,
let's go for it. Okay, so that includes Andorra, Argentina, Austria, Bahrain, Belgium, Brazil, Brunei, Bulgaria, Canada, Chile, Croatia, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hong Kong, Hungary, Iceland, Ireland, Israel, Italy, Japan, Korea, South, Kuwait, Latvia, Liechtenstein, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Macau, Malaysia, Malta, Mauritius, Mexico, Monaco, Netherlands, Norway, Oman, Poland, Portugal, Qatar, Romania, San Marino, Saudi Arabia, Seychelles, Singapore, Slovak Republic, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, Switzerland, Taiwan, United Arab Emirates, United Kingdom, United States of America, Uruguay, and Vatican City.
I think the one you mispronounced was Bahrain. This one.
Oh, yeah, Bahrain.
All right, cool. So if you are from those countries, you do not need a visa. If you're coming to New Zealand for holiday purposes for 3 months or less. If you're from the UK, if you're a British citizen, there is 6 months because they always have to be different than the other.
Yeah.
All right. So that's what it is for that. So now, for all the other countries, if you're from another country, you will need to apply for a visitor visa. It's a very easy and quick process to do that, and then you're going to get a visa that then you need to print out and you need to bring with you at the airport before boarding your plane, when boarding your plane, and immigration. There's you basically have to show your paperwork all the time. Now check out Immigration New Zealand's website regularly because those lists actually changes regularly. They usually add some countries along the way.
Yeah.
Now, what happened when you are from a visa waiver country? So you do not need a visa and you arrive in New Zealand. What paperwork do you actually need? How does it? What does it work? I'm getting out of the plane. What happens?
Yeah. So if you're from any of those countries that I listed, you arrive in New Zealand, and when you arrive at the airport, and when you go to the immigration desk and they ask to see your passport, that is literally it. You show them your passport, and because obviously passports are electronic nowadays, and also if you're from the visa waiver country, they just basically give you a stamp in your passport. And that basically indicates from that date that is on the stamp, that is from when your 3 months start of you being allowed in New Zealand to holiday for up to 3 months.
Here you go. So it's all electronic. You don't need paperwork or anything. I actually think it would be cool to have actually a visa just as a souvenir. It would be a nice thing.
You have your stamp as a souvenir, which is pretty cool. They used to do a Middle Earth stamp.
That's true.
Which I'm really good they don't do anymore.
Yeah. All right, cool. So if you guys have any questions of your own, make sure to put them in the comment below. We're here to help every single week. We know that with visa waivers is a question that comes up really often.
Yeah.
So that's why we made the point of actually doing all the research and make sure to answer all that for you.
And we also, I was just going to say, we also have all of this list on BackpackerGuide.NZ, where we actually have a whole article giving you all the information about whether do you actually need a visitor visa for New Zealand or not. And all of this will be covered in that article as well. So again, just go on to BackpackerGuide.NZ, search visitor visa, and you'll find it easily.
Yeah, and click like and subscribe because we're super helpful. All right, let's move on to the chat. So Arthur says, thank you very much. We helped us load planning our trip to New Zealand. Well, therefore, then you're going to have to send us some pictures. You're going to have to go on Facebook and send us some pictures. We love when you guys do that. It's always cool. All right, what else did we have on our list? We had one more questions on the list. But in the meantime, remember, guys, on the 7th at 7 p.m. at the Bluestone Room, we can have a beer all together. So that'd be quite nice.
And that's in Auckland.
All right. So we're gonna do one more question right now, and then we're gonna do quick fire questions. So make sure that you are putting your questions right now in the live chat because it's almost over. We're almost done. All right. Cool. So on YouTube, we had Lana F that asked us, we just bought a car to travel around New Zealand for 10 months. What do we need to buy to be able to live in it? We don't want to forget anything. Well, if they don't want to forget anything, they need to ask you, Laura. I mean, you're the one with all the lists and well organized. You never forget a thing, right? Cool. All right, so we'll go through a bit of a list of items, and we'll tell you a little bit why we think you should have those items in your camper van. But the first thing that I will actually think of, and it's not really an item that you need to purchase, but is the self-contained certificate. So we just talked about that during this session right here. If you plan on doing some freedom camping, you want to get a self-contained certificate, meaning that you want to make sure that your camper van complies with the self-contained regulation and make sure that you have an up-to-date sticker. It's a blue sticker, and we have a whole article on BackpackerGuide.NZ to explain all about that.
Yeah, we also have a video on this channel as well. So the video is what is a self-contained camper van, and we'll link to it in the description below as well.
Yeah. Okay, next item.
Okay, so to get your car kitted up for sleeping in it and spending a year in it, as Lana F is doing, you'll probably want somewhere to sleep in it, so a mattress or a blow-up mattress. So there's two different types of mattresses that people usually put in their cars if they're sleeping in it, either a foam mattress or a blow-up mattress, which personally we prefer a blow-up mattress. We do find them a little bit more comfortable, and it's really handy to be able to deflate them when you aren't using them, so you have more space in your car. But the foam mattress is usually the cheap option to go for, and yeah, plenty of people go for that too. So either or. And also think on the subject of sleeping stuff, you'll also want to have blankets, and plenty of blankets at that. If you are sleeping in your car throughout the year, it's going to get there's going to be some pretty colder nights, so you're definitely going to want to keep as warm as possible. And yeah, continuing with the list, you're also going to want a cool box so that you can store some of your colder grocery items, your cheese, your butter, all that good stuff. You'll need a cool box for.
And the next one is going to be the car charger. You obviously need a really good car charger because, phone, tablet, laptop, cameras, all of those things.
All your electronic devices.
All of those things. So there are plenty of different ones. There are some that you just plug into the lighter,
cigarette lighter,
but there are some that you connect directly to your battery, which are quite cool as well, with the transformer and literally like a real plug on it and stuff like that. So yeah, definitely worth kind of looking at what is your actual need and how you can make that work. We also found on Amazon actually quite a lot of setup kind of already made with a solar panel you can put on the top. So when you park, you just put your solar panel on the top and you just have the cable that comes down and you can plug those things in, which is quite handy. We'll link to some in the description below. It's really cool. And so, yeah, definitely worth considering as well. Yeah. That is something that you will have to bring with you from New Zealand because the shipping from Amazon to New Zealand will be extremely expensive and it could be sometimes. So something that you buy beforehand.
Yeah.
Just saying.
So if you are planning on doing some cooking out of your car, then you're going to need some cooking utensils, things like a pan and all the utensils you need for, chopping, all that good stuff. But also you'll need a gas bottle or like a gas canister and a little bit of a hob to use that canister on. So if you're, doing some hot food and stuff, there's like camping stoves you can get, or some real big canisters as well, which you can get from hardware stores. So yeah, that's another thing that you'll need. Do you want to do?
Where are we on? You talked about the solar panels. Camping chairs and tables. Well, you want to be comfortable. Camping chairs and tables, it's always nice to have. To be quite honest, let's be 100% honest. We did buy some camping chairs when we did New Zealand biggest gap year. We traveled all around New Zealand for an entire year, doing 365 activities in 365 days, and we used our camping chairs zero times.
Yep.
There was just camping benches and everything like that all around New Zealand. But when we ask you guys, when we chat with you guys and everything, you guys always say like, oh yeah, my camping chairs from like Kmart or from the warehouse, those cheap things, right? You guys are like, oh yeah, I use them all the time. I love them. We just realized that I think we're kind of comfortable on bench and everything.
Yeah,
like that.
I think it's just personal preference, really.
But it's definitely worth having because they really don't take that much space and they can be quite comfortable. We still have some almost brand new ones. So
I'm still not using them. If anyone wants to come around and get them. So you're also going to need some lights. Obviously, navigating through your camper van at night, you're going to need some LED lights, particularly because they're good at energy saving. So yeah, make sure you have plenty of those and torch lights as well. It's an essential camping item, really. Yeah.
speaking of essential camping items, every single campsite, they have specific camping plugs, which is not like any other plugs around the country, right? They don't look like a normal plug. They're just big blue and yeah. So you can buy actually an adapter for that, which means that you can plug a cable onto any camping site. So let's say you park and you're going to sleep in your van and everything. You plug there, then you draw it toward your car, and then you can plug your laptop and all of that. So pairing that with a multi-plug, for example, is absolutely brilliant. So getting one of those is really important. You can find that on most of the outdoor stores around New Zealand. It's not that expensive, and it's definitely a lifesaver. We use that a lot. We definitely use that.
And you can use it also if you're staying in holiday parks and you do go onto a powered site, especially in winter. Then you can use like an electric heater or something, and that will be a lifesaver if you are going to sleep in your car during the winter. That will make it so much warmer. I think that's definitely what I would do. It would, even with loads of blankets in winter in a small car, it would be pretty freezing. So definitely you'll want to use an electric heater if you can. Finally, on the list, I would say buy yourself a little rubbish bin for your camper van. Wherever you go, you need to take your rubbish with you. Obviously, some places that you go to, they'll have public bins, so definitely use those. But some areas, there's not always going to be rubbish bins around, and obviously putting rubbish on the floor is an absolute no-no, like anywhere in the world, and especially in New Zealand, and it's definitely frowned upon. So make sure that you have a rubbish bin in your camper van so that you can always take your rubbish away with you. Is there anything else you would like to add to the list?
No, I think the thing is we have a lot of articles with all those things on, to be quite honest, on BackpackerGuide.NZ, but on .NZ. But we also have very different needs than other people. So it really depends on what you really need. We think that those things are the essential, and as you see, we included stuff that we don't use. But I think you're gonna have to do a little bit of work yourself, Lana, and make sure that you check all the boxes of everything you want to do with your camper van during your 10 months in New Zealand. All right, so if you did find that useful, like and subscribe. Make sure you check out the links in the description below. We always take some time to do that for you guys, so you have plenty of research pre-done for you. You just have to click on the link and look on the website to dive a bit deeper. All right, cool. Let's go back to the live chat. We have Brian that laughs at my struggle with YouTube. Thank you, mate. Yes, he can say thank you for answering my question. Much appreciated. Do you have any advice for traveling with young children? Honestly, New Zealand is very safe, so it's a really great country to travel with kids around. There is plenty of things that you need to keep in mind when you are with the kids. But honestly, New Zealand is so safe that it's going to be quite cool. The one thing I would say though is that I will try to make my drive time like less than 2 hours every single day, because the New Zealand drives are really kind of like wavy and everything, so the kids may not enjoy it that much. So make sure that you keep your driving time very short and you plan your itineraries around your kid, and you don't try to get your kids to fit your itinerary. If you decide to travel with kids, they should be the number one thing that you plan your travel around, and not the other way around. That's
and thinking of that as well, a lot of people who we've spoken to who do travel with kids, they say the number one thing that they sort of rely on is the amount of playgrounds, like children's playgrounds in New Zealand. They are absolutely everywhere, and stopping by these for just like half an hour or something quite regularly is a really good way to break up the trip for the kids.
And also pack a lot of snacks. That's what kids really like. But if you do want us to dive a little bit deeper with that, Yessi, just flick us a message on Facebook, and I may just do some research for you and go cover that question next week if you want. So just go on our Facebook page, send us a message, or on any of our videos, like you did for your previous question. And so like that, just have it pop in on my list. Just because we only have about a minute left today, so we won't be able to cover all that. But I'd be really happy to dive deeper and make sure we do a really lengthy one for you. Grant's asking, are we based in Auckland or are we in New Zealand permanently? Well, I've been in New Zealand for almost 10 years now, Laura, about 5, 6.
About 5
so
years,
we've been in New Zealand for a wee while. We're not in Auckland because it's Auckland.
But we're going up to Auckland for a trip, so that's where we decided. That's where most people tend to be to meet up for a beer. So
that's why we do that. We travel a lot around New Zealand, obviously, to do the guide, but if you're from New Zealand, Grant, you know that Auckland's not the place to be. Any More Time says hi. Hi, Any More Time.
Hi.
It says in Wellington, what suburbs would you suggest to live in? I like Lower Hutt. I think it's a nice place. I think she liked the Miramar Peninsula more, just because there is
just because there's the Weta Cave there. But there's a lot of also very much outer suburbs as well. So there's the Kapiti Coast, which is pretty nice. Yeah, I would probably go for the Kapiti Coast, and you can also take a train into Wellington from there. So yeah, that would be my choice.
Yeah, definitely. And Grant is taking the time to tell everybody that the butane, basically the gas canister to cook in your campervan is a very popular late night purchase. So basically, a lot of people forget or don't check if it's full or not. So make sure that you have a gas canister or you have enough gas in your campervan. So that was for Lana's question. All right, cool. Thank you very much, guys, for joining us for this live video. That was really awesome to have you on board. We did cover quite a lot. Again, on the 7th of May at 7 p.m. at the Bluestone Room in Auckland. So you go on our Facebook page, BackpackerGuide.NZ on Facebook, and you click on event and you find all the details right here. We'd love to have a beer with you guys. If you guys want to join us, if you don't, it's okay.
It's okay.
I think they're still gonna. We'll
just wipe the tears from our eyes.
Actually, to be fair, if none of you guys actually join, it's better for us because that's a great excuse to drink a lot because we need to drown our sorrows.
Yes.
So here you go. If you guys don't join, it's more beer for us.
Yeah.
Anyway, we are here. We're here every single week on a Sunday at 8 a.m. New Zealand time, which is Saturday USA, 4 p.m. EST, 12 p.m. PST. UK, it is 9 p.m. In France, it's 22h le samedi. And in India, it's 1:30 a.m. on a Sunday. So this is the time for you guys on the Saturday. And for us, it is 8 a.m. Sunday, New Zealand time. Happy Easter. Have fun. Celebrate all those chocolate eggs and chocolate rabbits because that's what Easter is all about. Thank you very much for joining us, guys.
See you later.